Hey y'all, it's Patty from Giddy Things, and as promised, I'm back with a video about my Zepbound journey. And I want to share some side effects that I've had, some help for those side effects, and also tell you a little bit about how I deal with the injections. So, one of the biggest side effects for me has been nausea. Also, along with the nausea, there comes a lot of burping. I don't know how else to say that, but and some of those burps, as I shared in a video before, are different because they're sort of, I mean, there's no other way to say it. They're sort of sulfurous. So it's not pleasant at all. Some people call them mouth. I call them FERPs, as I might have said in a video before. So that's those are my main issues. I haven't really dealt with constipation. And I'm wondering if it's because of this first thing that I do. And again, always check with your own physician about these things because this is just what works for me. It may not work for everyone. And this brand is one that I take, but you don't, it's bio-optimizers, but of course you can take whatever your doctor says is right for you if your doctor says something is right for you. But this is magnesium. And I've taken other kinds that worked really well, particularly magnesium glycinate. If I'm just isolating one magnesium, helps me to sleep. It helps me, I think, stay regular, if you know what I'm saying. And, there's going to be some TMI when you're talking about your gastric systems. It's just the way it is, right? But this one has, like, I think 7 types of magnesium in it. And I got a deal on it for subscribing. It's what Elizabeth Countess of Shopping uses, and she is a mainstay for my journey with Zepbound and her channel, which I'll link again. I've done in a previous video about Zepbound, the only video I made about Zepbound before this one. And again, this is the GLP-1 agonist to help me lose weight, which has helped me a lot. I think I don't want to really say a number, but I think I've lost a couple of pounds again since I weighed. But when I weighed last time, I had lost a total of 56 pounds in a year. I am what a lot of people on Zepbound call a turtle. I'm apparently turtly enough for the turtle club. I don't lose as quickly, but I've been maintaining the weight loss when it happens. I have excellent appetite suppression on a relatively low dose. I'm only at the 5 milligram dose, which is one up from the starting dose of 2.5 milligrams of Zepbound. Check with your doctor for what's right for you. So this magnesium has helped me again with sleep. It's helped me to stay regular. And the cool thing about this too is that I'm also tapering off of a benzodiazepine right now that I took for years for anxiety. And that helps with anxiety too. The magnesium does for me. Another thing I do, and this is very simple, and this is a little tiny, you can't even see it. If you could see the label on these, it would say Polo Mints. They're British versions of kind of, well, I guess Lifesavers are the American version of this, but they're peppermints, and it's kind of like equivalent to the Lifesavers Peppo-Mint. Um, there's a little sugar in that, and I try to stay low on sugar. And when I have them, I use ginger chews or ginger hard lozenges for nausea, and that really pretty much takes care of it for me. It's not an overwhelming nausea, which is good news. It's just kind of we have called it for years and years and years, and I didn't come up with this, but it's a really good shorthand. SNAT, SNATT, which is slightly nauseated all the time. Right? So that helps a lot if I just let that dissolve in my mouth, or sometimes I use essential oils. So I'll put a little essential oil next to my pillow, and peppermint essential oil helps me. I don't apply it, but it helps me to smell the peppermint and not feel as nauseated. So that's helpful as well. To remind myself to say this, I also track my symptoms. And so this is my APA pen, and I just wanted to share it with you. That's American Psychological Association style pen. They sent me a lovely care pack for teaching, which was great. But tracking the symptoms really helps, because if you know the days, and it does get kind of predictable for me anyway, the days after your injection that you're going to have those symptoms, it's pretty regular for me. It's become a routine. So I know the day after I'm going to be pretty nauseated. That's the day when I experience also fatigue. And I haven't found a way around that. I just have to rest. I have to plan for that. It's why I take my shots on Friday because the work week is kind of over. I'm doing administrative work for my classes that day. If you haven't watched before, I'm a professor, an English professor. And so I'm doing that kind of work and I can kind of relax. I don't have to be on to teach class and stuff. So I do Fridays and then the weekend I just sort of take it easy if I can. If I don't have a lot going on, if I have a lot going on, I try to time that because I know I'm going to have these side effects. I haven't stopped having them yet. But again, it's a game changer for me because it's a trade off with food noise. I don't think about being hungry. I don't think about eating. And that's an equitable trade for me. I'm okay with that. So it might not be for you, but for me, this path has been really rewarding and I feel better as I get lighter. And I'm hoping that at some point, those symptoms will subside if I get to the point where I've lost all the weight that I need to lose and I go back to a maintenance dose. So that's helpful as well. The other thing, I cannot stress this enough. I'm going to bring in my little dealie. This is one of my two 40-ounce water cups. The goal, and I'm not doing a good job meeting this goal, but the goal is to drink 3 of those a day. When I drink 1 or 2, I have much less nausea. I have much less fatigue. And I just generally feel better. And that makes sense. Drinking water will do that for you. And the exact amount that's right for you is something you can consult with your doctor on. But for me, my doctor has said that much, right? 120 ounces a day for me. And honestly, if I would do that regularly, I think the nausea might subside almost entirely. That's my goal, and hold me accountable on this to get to the point where I'm really taking that water in the way that I should, right? So I hope that those are helpful tips for you. I think that they're just kind of boilerplate general things that people don't often talk about when they're at the doctor's office that can help when you know someone is taking the medication. The other thing, and it's not so much of a recommendation if you're on Zepbound or if you're thinking about it or if your doctor's prescribed it for you and you're considering it, one of our subscribers actually did point out, hey, I'm nervous about this. I'm afraid of the risks, the side effects involved. And I responded to that subscriber and said, I understand. I get it. I was terrified. I'm almost always terrified when I start taking a new medication about what it's going to do as far as side effects and as far as, some of the more grim things that could happen. But I know and discussed with my doctor that being substantially overweight, being morbidly obese, which I no longer am morbidly obese, but I was, is something that's more dangerous for me than this medication is. And will I need to take it forever? I don't know yet. I haven't decided on that yet. The articles and the journals say different things, and doctors say different things about that. And so we're just going to have to take that as a wait and see for me. But the injection, and this is something that makes, aside from the side effects and the possible complications, this is something that makes people super nervous, I think. It's just the idea of giving yourself a shot. And for me, it's not something I was nervous about because I'm not afraid of needles, but I am so empathetic with people who are because there are things that make me nervous and apprehensive and anxious. It's just not needles, but, your needle is my, nope rope, danger noodle. Mr. No Shoulders. Ooh, I scared myself just doing that. But if you think about it this way, first of all, it's a very small, fine needle. And I'm going to tell you, sometimes I'm nervous that the shot didn't go in because I don't feel it. Most of the time, I don't feel it. There have been times when I've looked down and seen a little speck of the red life elixir on me, and I'm like, oh, thank goodness it went in. And I just make sure I'm very careful to sterilize. Is sterilize the right word? To clean that injection site, and then I take the shot, I clean it again, and honestly, most of the time, I don't feel it at all. And it's certainly not as painful as nearly. I mean, it's not painful most of the time, but it's not nearly as painful as, stubbing a toe or accidentally pulling your hair or something like that. It's not, to me, painful. Now, that doesn't mean everybody's going to feel that way. I mean, that's one of my mantras is no two people are exactly the same. But I've seen over and over again people who were super nervous about the shot say the same things. And so that anecdotal evidence is kind of compelling. It doesn't really hurt. And once you get used to it, it's kind of getting over just the wonky feeling or janky, creepy feeling about giving yourself a shot. Sometimes it's not necessarily being afraid of the needle, but just like this doesn't feel like a natural thing to do for some people. And I get that. Again, one of the things I'm most keenly aware of as a teacher, as your friend, as a person who's a neighbor to people in society, is that I haven't had your experiences. I haven't had anyone else's experiences but my own. And it's a humbling thing to think about. And I try to keep it at the front of my mind all the time so that I'll be more empathetic and loving than it might otherwise seem natural to be, right? Because there's no way to get past how much we need to think about other people's experiences and walking in other people's shoes. It's from a great novel by Harper Lee. You might know that novel. If not, go look that up. Go look up Harper Lee and novel. And she only really wrote one that she approved the release of. There's another one that um, she approved the release of, but there's some controversy around it. But anyway, that having been said, I'm going into English teacher mode. I hope this information helped you with your journey on Zepbound or helped you to make a decision about something that you've been thinking about discussing with your physician, or your physician has maybe recommended for you. You can do it. You can do incredibly well if it's what's right for you. And I'm here to help. I'm here to cheer you on. I'm totally in your corner. I am rooting for you. So please do think about it and then go in peace and love to serve others.